Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm here today with my co-host, Jerrika Rydell, and we are two of the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Thanks for being with us and listening. Hope you enjoy the episode. Hey, Jer.
Hey, Alex. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good. I got some big news to share with all of our friends listening.
What do you got? Let me guess.
We're expecting a baby.
Woo! That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're pretty pumped. Yeah, lots of big changes happening over here. We just finally bought a new car officially yesterday.
What did you get?
We bought a different car a few weeks ago, and we went out of town with the dog and all of our baseball gear and, food prep and everything. And we looked back and we're like, this isn't going to work now that we're going to have a baby. Yeah. So we went bigger. We're getting the Chevy Traverse. So it's a big 7-seater. So yeah, that'll be much better. Yeah. Lots of changes. It's good.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited for you guys. Traveling sucks at the beginning just because there's so many little things like players and toys and all of that. So the first couple of years, you need a massive vehicle. I remember doing camping trips where we would have to take 2 vehicles just because of the baby stuff.
Yeah, like a stroller. And then the dogs are going to be 100 pounds by the time the baby's here. And it's just like the stuff. And then I'm hoping to be playing baseball, obviously next summer. I'll be back to normal. So both our baseball gear, I was just like, how do people do this?
Yeah.
So we just went for it.
Sweet. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for the whole journey. And then are you guys gonna find out gender, or are you gonna wait?
I don't think we are.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
fun.
know. I say that now, but if you're listening, don't quote me on that.
The good thing is that Alex is a good name for a boy or a girl.
Oh, okay. I'll keep that in mind. Maybe middle name. We'll see how much you chirp me from now until then.
Okay. What do you got today for a topic?
I also want to talk about some general food tracking. We do, a lot of you listening, that we do a point system with our Breaking 90 clients, but there's a lot of other ways to track food. So I'd like to just, dig into different types, why it works, should everyone do it? So I have some questions that can help guide this conversation, but I don't think we've ever really dug into the differences.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to start because I know there's a lot of people that have tracked their food a lot. Like they swear by macro counting, and like I'm not against macro counting. I've used it lots, and I still do use it at different stages in my journey. But it's very precise. It works really, really well. I just think it's too tedious for the average person. Like that's the part that I have a hard time with. Like who's going to weigh and measure everything they eat forever? And I think you can get to the point where you start to estimate it too, which does start to make it easier, but it is tedious. Like even keeping a food log, even doing the point system, which is our very, very simplified version of macro counting, can get tedious. So that's my only thing against macro counting is that most people, I think, will get burned out from doing it. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, if you're listening and you might be joining us with this as your first podcast. So macro counting, your macros are your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. So we're talking about, there's apps out there like MyFitnessPal is probably the most common one that you see people using, where you would track, like let's say you had a cup of Greek yogurt, you would punch that in to your account, and it would tell you how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat is in that specific. And you can look at that too, right on the side of the food label. There's just some foods that don't have it, and it makes these apps just make it a little bit easier. I just kind of wanted to take a step back and just kind of introduce macro counting. So, and then depending on your goals, you'll get different macros or different amounts of food or amounts of protein, carbs, and fats, depending on if you're trying to lose weight or gain muscle, etc. So I do agree. I think it's extremely tedious. I like it for short term,
Yeah.
in that it teaches people some really valuable things about food. It is really eye-opening to show you what a real portion of peanut butter looks like. But there's also other ways to do that, and then we'll dive into that today. But I think it's just a cool lesson that I think everyone should, understand what a protein, a carb, a fat is. I think everyone should understand different amounts and portions of food. But no, I don't think it's something that someone wants to do or should do for the rest of their lives. Although yes, it does get easier.
Yeah.
But like, you're going out to eat for dinner and you had a bacon, I don't know, pasta rigatoni with this and that, and it's just like, you just start estimating, but it just gets so tedious, and it's not really that easy for real life.
Something we ask our clients to do occasionally is a food log, like a 3-day food log, to just like reset and look at where they're at and do an honest assessment of their portion sizes. And I think that's where macro counting, like you said, could be really valuable. If somebody hasn't been doing it for a long time and all of a sudden they're getting further from their goals, I think it would be worth sitting down and doing it for a few weeks and being like, oh yeah, my days were slowly getting 200 or 300 calories higher, even though I didn't think they were. I could see that being a valuable tool for the listener. I think if you are macro counting and you're not doing it for a specific competition, your end goal should be doing macro counting so that you don't have to do macro counting. You should be doing macro counting so that you can learn what portion sizes are, how much food a normal day should look like for you in order to lose weight, gain weight, feel good, so that you can then easily just be like, okay, yeah, this is approximately how much food I was eating when I was making progress. And then if you continue to make progress when you're not macro counting, you don't need to keep macro counting. But most people will slowly slip and slip and slip.
Definitely. It's so easy to just be like, oh, this little extra, that won't hurt in the long run. But if we do that consistently, it can be detrimental to your goals if fat loss is your goal. So let's dive into we can talk about ours briefly as well, and even just the general palm size portion, because I think when people think tracking food, they just automatically think I have to count. Yeah, I don't know if people realize there's other ways to keep track of it.
Even just to simplify for people, if you're listening to this and your general health and fitness, you probably don't need to track your carbs and fat. You probably need to track calories and protein.
Awesome. Yeah.
For most people, that is enough. And that alone is a bit of a relief, I think, for most people, not to be like, oh, I got to hit this percentage. Like, those percentages matter so little for the average person that I don't even tell most people to bother with carbs and fat percentages. Okay, so our point system. So Precision Nutrition created the hand-sized portions, which is palms of protein, fists of fruit and vegetable, cupped hands of carb, and thumbs of fat. So we took it and adapted it into an easy to use point system, so that instead of counting 2,000 calories a day, you're counting about 10 points per day. And that's different from person to person. Some people have 15 points, some people have 3 points, but it's like, now instead of weighing and measuring everything, it's like, oh yeah, I had about a palm size portion of protein that counts towards one of my proteins. And is it laser specific? Absolutely not. It's not even close to as accurate as macro counting, but it's still putting something measurable in place that we can manage. And that's the key here. You have a way of tracking what you're doing consistently and say, these days I was eating 3 servings of protein. Now I'm only eating 2 servings of protein. Here's what happened as a result. That's what we are trying to accomplish. It's not, like I said, it's not completely specific, but it just makes measuring very easy. And you can, at the end of the day, say, yes, I hit my goals, or no, I didn't hit my goals. And that's what you need out of any type of tracking system, is a way to say yes or no, I did it.
Yeah, it's a means of simplified accountability. And what's cool with, and I mean, this even I guess goes for macro counting as well. But what's interesting is as long as, let's say, you have rice and your cupped hand is different than someone else's cupped hand, right? But as long as you're always using your own cupped hand and doing roughly, okay, that looks about the same. Same with the thumb. It's like, as long as I'm using a thumb of peanut butter and I'm doing that in my thumb consistently and I'm doing the same measurements consistently, then any sort of, I guess, inconsistencies will kind of wash out, right? Because you start learning what, like, as your coaches too, you start learning what works and what doesn't work. And if we do the same thing always, if we always track rice with the same hand, then over time you're going to figure out, okay, this is working for me. This is the right numbers that I should be achieving at the end of the day. If not, take one off. If not, put one on.
That's human nature too, to start fudging your portion sizes accidentally. Like at the end of the day, if you're eating less calories than you burn, you lose weight. So when somebody tracks their calories consistently and they're like, I'm only eating 1,300 calories and I'm not losing weight, you're probably not eating 1,300 calories. You're probably eating like 2,000, and it's like the salad dressings, the slightly bigger serving of peanut butter, the slightly bigger serving of rice, all of that adds up. The glass of wine you forgot to count. But it doesn't really matter. If you think you are accurately tracking 1,300 calories and you're not losing weight, then you need to go down to 1,200 calories. I don't actually believe you're at 1,300, and I would never tell somebody they should only eat that much. It's probably just an inaccurate tracking, whether consciously or subconsciously. I'm not blaming you for lying. We all do this. Like, we all take a slightly bigger portion without accounting for it. That just happens subconsciously. But if you are not making progress, regardless of how many calories you think you're eating too many.
100%. I remember when I first started doing like fitness coaching and nutrition coaching, and I think it was you're just like, oh, this person's eating roughly, like, we have them set, they think they're set around 1,500 calories. And I was kind of taken aback. I was like, who has their client eating 1,400 calories? But then you're like, they're not actually eating 1,400 calories. They're actually eating 18 to closer to 19. But because they're tracking this way, they think that this is just the number. But I know they're getting an extra 400 from this, and this. But as long as that works consistently, and you yourself as the client, or even if you're doing it for yourself as your own coach, just being mindful of that. Oh yeah, I usually add this, so then okay, like, just being aware of that over time.
Yeah, another example of this is in our program, we have free foods. So we don't count fruits and vegetables and some other really low calorie stuff. You could eat hundreds and hundreds of calories of fruits and vegetables. So say you implement this with calorie tracking. I'm going to track everything I eat except for fruits and vegetables because it's kind of tedious and I want to be allowed to eat as much as I can. So now maybe your goal is 1,100 calories, but you eat 500 calories of fruits and vegetables. It doesn't matter. Your goal is 1,100 outside of fruits and vegetables. As long as your fruit and veggie servings aren't drastically higher or lower from day to day, week to week, that new goal of 1,100 will work for you, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's a good way to explain it.
And I would encourage most people to do that because your fruits and vegetables probably aren't your problem. And so if that makes it simpler for you, then do that. Stop counting them.
Yeah, I want to circle back to something you said at the beginning. And if you said if general health and fitness is your goal, or just general weight loss or fat loss, all you need to track, all you really need to track is protein and calories. And I think that that's something that's even more simplified, right? Because now we want to focus on making sure we're getting good amounts of protein and just general calories, which is why we just we put carbs and fat together in our sustainable route. So just to remind people, they don't have to be so tedious about like what is in this versus like, you don't have to check and be like, okay, this is 30% fat and 30% carbs. It's about how many total calories is in there. And then is this a serving of protein? Yes or no? It's kind of a simple way to look at it.
Yep. And we all can do an honesty check with ourselves and say, did I eat well today or did I not eat well today? And at the end of the day, you can use your 200 calories for chocolate, or you can use your 200 calories for a sweet potato. They're both 200 calories. One of them will fuel you longer and better, right? And so that's not to say don't have the chocolate, but be aware if all of your extra calories are starting to come from shittier foods, your energy is going to be lower, you're going to get hungrier faster, and you're not going to perform as well. And that can't show up just by tracking calories. But you don't need macros to tell you that you've been eating like shit. We all know that. Like at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I ate chips all day, but I stayed under my calorie goal. Well, I know I'm not going to feel good.
Exactly. Oftentimes people are like, oh, I'm so snacky lately. Like I just want, to grab this, 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 and this. And, the first thing we say is, and oh yeah, like I'm so hungry, I can't seem to fill myself up. Well, as coaches, we just circle back to the quality of your A's, right? And we're not saying that 100% of your carbs and your fats, we call them A's, 100% of them don't need to be, the highest nutritional value, but a high enough percent should be, so that you're at least getting yourself to the next meal feeling full, feeling satisfied. So that's always something to be mindful of.
And that's going to look different from person to person. Like, what's the ideal split? I don't know, maybe 80-20, 80% whole good quality foods, 20% mind junky foods. Maybe that's a good split for some people, but just be aware. How's your energy? How's your recovery? How hungry are you? If you're really hungry or low on energy or not performing well, start including more whole foods.
Yeah, I think that's such an important thing to note when it comes to any type of tracking or just being aware of your nutrition. Is those factors right there: sleep, energy, stress, etc. Those should be included in your check-ins. When you go to bed and you're like, did I hit my protein, and did I hit roughly my calories or my points? Yes or no. If you say yes, I hit them, but I'm feeling low energy, I'm barely sleeping, I'm super high stress, it's like, well, maybe these points aren't where they should be, or maybe these calories aren't where they should be at this point in my life, because I do want to sleep better, or I do want to, my body's depleted because I am stressed. So it's not just about the food and the numbers, it's also about how we feel.
Absolutely. Which if you can be honest with yourself, doesn't require a tracking system. Most of us have a hard time being honest with ourselves, and that's honest to goodness truth, is that your emotions are going to get in the way occasionally. And that's why everybody needs a coach sometimes, because you're going to reward yourself when you think you've behaved well, and you're going to punish yourself when you think you've behaved poorly. That's something that we can't control on our own, but a coach who takes an outside look and isn't getting emotional over your situation can help you with.
Yeah, and I think that takes me to the last question. It's like, should everyone be tracking? What would your answer be to that?
I'd say no, but at
Right.
certain points in your life, I think it could be beneficial for everyone. So
For
I
sure.
don't think every person needs to, but I think it would be beneficial for everyone to try it at some point. And like, there's people that are naturally skinny or naturally healthy. Like, that doesn't mean they're at optimal health. So it still wouldn't hurt them to take a snapshot of where they're at and a snapshot of what would make them a little bit healthier, and be like, oh, okay, so cool. If I just added a little bit more protein and vegetables to my lunch, that would get me a lot closer to what would be considered ideal.
Absolutely. I think majority of the people we surround ourselves with are under eating protein, right?
Yeah.
So even though they may look healthy, fit, and everything, but are their muscles and is their body being supplied with enough building blocks for their protein? Maybe not. So it's just a lesson that I think everyone should learn at some point in their lives, but I don't think everyone needs to track. I think filling up your plate with, like Alex mentioned, a good nutritious version of carbs, protein, fat, and just sitting down for your meals and looking, okay, is this going to fill me up? Yes or no? Is this nutritious? Yes or no? And enjoying some of the foods you love here and there, you'd be absolutely fine. But if you have a deadline, if you have a specific goal, things of that nature, then that's where this some form of tracking can play a big part.
Agreed. Awesome.
Cool.
Did we get all the points you wanted to hit on?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sweet. Well, I think people will probably get some value of that, and we covered macro counting and our point system. There are other ways to do it, but that macro is definitely the most common. But basically, at the end of the day, you can't manage what you don't measure. So you need to find a way to measure what you're doing in order to make changes, accurate changes to what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed this though, and if you have questions, certainly reach out. But wherever, what's that? Sorry.
Oh yeah, so don't forget, I got a tip.
Okay, yeah, do it. I forgot.
My tip today is I'm on a smoothie kick lately because it's just so hot where I am. So my tip is just to, if you're finding that you're lacking nutrients, lacking energy, things in that nature, you want something fresh and cold, just to eat more smoothies, or even make a smoothie and put a stick in it and freeze it and have a popsicle. Like, smoothies can be jammed packed with nutrients, jam packed with protein, yogurt and protein powder and things in that nature, hemp hearts. So if you're finding that, you're struggling with time and nutrients and energy, that's the direction I would recommend taking.
Love that. I have a smoothie almost every day. It's so easy during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. What I was saying is, wherever you're listening to this, take a screenshot, share it to your Instagram, and tag us in it so we can get more listeners. And we appreciate you guys being here. As always, if you have any questions, shoot us a message.